Example number 2. Approximately 60% of eligible voters voted in the 2016 U.S. presidential election. If a sample of 88 eligible voters were polled, would it be unusual if less than half of them had voted? So now we first write down the information from the problem. Approximately 60% of eligible voters voted in 2016 U.S. presidential election. They are talking about the whole country, and 60% is the percentage number, and that is the population proportion. So P is 0.60. A sample of 88 eligible voters. N is 88. And now we look at the question. In the question, it seems like you don't find any number, but there is a number in the sentence. That number is half. Half is mean 1/2. It means 0.5. So when you see the word half, it's talking about the proportion. The proportion of 0.5. And also they say less. So the proportion is less than 0.5. And also they say half of them. The them that they refer is 88 voters. Or 88 voters is just a sample. So this is P hat. So in this problem, we will use the center limit theorem for proportions. It is proportion because there's a word half in the question. Just like before, we will check the condition to see if it's okay for us to use the center limit theorem. So we check n times p and n times 1 minus p. 0.60 times 88 and 1 minus 0.60 times 88. We got the answer is 53.8 and it's greater than 10, and also 35.2 and it's greater than 10. So we satisfy the two conditions. Then we can apply the central limit theorem for proportion. Again, why is it proportion? Because in the question there's a word half. In the central limit theorem for proportion, saying that the mean for the sample mean is mu p hat and is equal to p. And the standard deviation for the sample is the sigma of p hat is formula p 1 minus p divided by n, and then we take the square root. The p is 0.60. And now we calculate the sigma of p hat is 0.60 times 1 minus 0.60 divided by n is 88. We calculate this number and we got the answer is 0.052223. Now we draw the normal curve. First of all, we need to locate the mean. The mean is mu of p hat is 0.60. The half in the question, the half mean 0.5. 0.5 is less than 0.60, so it is on the left side. And then we want less than half, so we will shade on the left side. So our job is we need to find the area or the probability that is less than 0.5. We will need to convert into the z, and the formula for the z is p hat minus mu of p hat divided by sigma p hat. Now we put in the number. And we get the answer is negative 1.91. You will look at the z negative, and you will use a negative 1.9 and 0.01. Once again, the reason why we have to take z two places is because in the z table, we only have two places for the z. We map this together, and we get the answer is 0.0281. That is our final answer. And now, just like before, we will use the Geogebra to do this problem. And to use the Geogebra, we again have to check the condition, the NP and the N1 minus P. They have to be both greater than or equal to 10. And then we apply the central limit theorem, so we got this number. And then we will use those numbers for the technology. The mean is 0.6. We will input in here. The standard deviation is 0.0522. We input in here. Notice that the standard deviation will only have 4 places. Because the problem say is less, so we make sure that we have to click on the one on the left side, the left button. Once again, the one on the left button is for less than. The one on the right is for greater than. And the one in the middle is for between. In this problem, they say less. So that's why we have to click on the left button. And then the question mentioned half, so that means 0.5. So we input 0.5 in here. Then your answer is 0.0277. Now we compare the answer with the manually work. It's a little bit different, and we understand why. So they are both acceptable.